This guy, he's green. He's new to this lying deception game. And he knows what's coming. This is not the hard part. This is the easy part.
There was a vehicle in the driveway that he wanted me to document.
And was that a Chevrolet Traverse, is that correct?
Yes, I was asked to go to an address 1 Meadows Road.
And who went with you there?
Trooper Proctor.
You met former Trooper Michael Proctor on February 3rd at 34 Fairview Road in Canton?
Yes, I did.
Is it just me, or did he appear to be kind of lamenting the fact that he said former trooper? Like, oh no, my buddy. Brennan tries to introduce a piece of evidence backwards. First he introduces it into evidence, then he has to show it to the jury. Now Lally is like, oh, is this disc a fair and accurate? Like, come on, dude. Do things in the right order. You're a lawyer, for God's sake. Or are you? Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Buckle Up, It's the Law. Folks, today we are going to continue with Officer Brent Evan. Brent Evan is another trooper that is going to be direct examined by Lally. Lally making appearances in trial number 2. I was so confused when I heard his voice in the previous video because I thought he was mostly trial number 1. But apparently he's finally making appearances in trial number 2. He's doing the, I don't know, more straightforward witnesses, maybe once he's already prepared in the first trial that he knows a lot of information about, so Brennan can focus on other things. I don't know what they're doing over there, and frankly, I don't care. All I care about is making content for you all, so of course, don't forget to like this video, comment below, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And without further ado, I bring you this guy. Let's go.
Now, sir, were you working with the State Police Crime Scene Services section on February 3rd of 2022?
Yes, I was.
And where were you requested to go on that date?
I was requested to respond to an address in Canton.
And do you recall what that address was?
And by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this already, we're doing both the direct and the cross, because both are important.
It was 34 Fairview.
And approximately what time did you arrive at that location on Fairview Road?
It was about 9:45 in the morning.
And who did you meet upon your arrival there?
I met with several members of the State Police Detective Unit for Norfolk County.
And do you recall specifically who those members of the State Police Detective Unit were?
Yes, there was Lieutenant Tully, Sergeant Buchanan, Trooper Proctor, Trooper DeChico, and Trooper Moore.
And when you arrived there, what were you asked to document on that occasion?
There was a search effort digging through some snowbanks that they were looking for some items. They wanted me to document it with photography.
Now, during that search effort, were items located and recovered?
Yes.
Now, can you describe for the jury the process of item recovery that you observed there on that day?
So once an item was excavated, I would be alerted. I would come over. I would document the item in its place, and then one of the detectives would use a gloved hand, and that item would be bagged and documented on the bag.
Was that the same with respect to each item that was photographed by you and then bagged by the State Police Detective Unit?
Yes.
Now, if I could just ask you, if you could expound a little, when you say excavated, what do you mean by that? What did you see being done that day?
They were digging with shovels.
And as far as the items that were recovered, do you recall where they were in relation to the snow pile and the ground itself?
Some were on top of the snow, so there was some significant snow melt. I think that day it was raining out, and it was much warmer than it was the previous 3 days. So some had been revealed by this melted snow, so they were on top. Others were under a foot and a half of snow.
Now, what kind of instruments or tools do you use in addition to your camera when you're photographing items?
So items of interest would be documented with a scale, so that way it would show how big the item is.
And why is it that you use a scale as far as photographs are concerned when it comes to certain items?
Because some of the photos, you wouldn't be able to tell how big the item is or proportionally what it looks like. So it has the scale's just a little ruler that shows exactly how big the item is.
Now, sir, upon your completion of documenting recovery of items at Fairview Road, were you asked to go anywhere else?
Yes, I was.
And where were you asked to go?
I was asked to go to an address 1 Meadows Road.
And who went with you there?
Trooper Proctor.
And
By the way, is it just me, or is this guy like so uncomfortable? Like he can't wait to get out of there. Am I the only one who's like getting this vibe? Like I know a lot of the witnesses, you know, like Jennifer McCabe, they're gonna have that vibe, but Jen at least can like hold her own. You know, she's a professional manipulator, professional liar, many decades in practice. This guy, he's green. He's new to this lying deception game. And he knows what's coming. This is not the hard part. This is the easy part. The hard part's coming with Yannetti, Jackson, or Alessi getting up there. It might be Yannetti as well. I don't know for a fact. But we're about to find out together. But I don't know. Even on direct, the guy seems very on edge. Like, I just don't want to be here. Am I the only one? Let me know in the comments below if you feel the same way or if I'm alone in this. And as you're doing that, don't forget to subscribe.
once there, what were you asked to document and memorialize at that secondary location of
So
One
you
Meadows
get
Ave?
more of these videos.
There was a vehicle in the driveway that he wanted me to document.
And was that a Chevrolet Traverse, is that correct?
Yes.
And were you asked to document anything else with respect to the home adjacent to that driveway?
There was a camera up above the garage that he had pointed out, so I just documented that as well.
Thank you. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
We're showing you a disc. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
So what do you recognize that to be?
It's a disc of crime scene photos.
And the photos on that disc, are those the photos that you took at each of those respective locations on February 3rd?
Wait, he can't answer that. He needs to look at the disc, unless he recognizes the writing on the disc. But again, if it's his handwriting. But I would still be very cautious. The way that Lally's phrasing this question is really bad.
Both 34 Fairview and 1 Meadows Ave.
Yes.
And what's contained on that disc and those photos, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of what you observed at each of those respective
How can you-
locations that day?
Yes, it is.
I would object, but I guess
Introduce the minutes and exhibit.
And same caveat, as long as that's all that's on that disc, we have no
yeah, because okay, exactly. Because Yannetti doesn't know that the guy. We're not computers. We can't like look at a disc and go scanning. Okay, yep, this is good. You know what is this?
135.
This is not the way to do things. Very improper. Lally knows it, or he doesn't. Yannetti knows it.
And Your Honor, may I approach the witness again?
Yes.
So bad. First, Brennan tries to introduce a piece of evidence backwards. First, he introduces it into evidence, then he has to show it to the jury. Now Lally is like, oh, is this disc a fair and accurate? Like, come on, dude. Do things in the right
So
order.
I'm handing you a series of 7
You're a lawyer, for God's sake. Or are you?
photographs. Do you recognize generally what's depicted in those 7 photographs?
Yes.
And in the first 5 of those photographs, is that essentially taking photographs as you walk around the Chevrolet Traverse in the driveway that day?
Yes, that is correct.
And the last 2 were of the garage doors at 1 Meadows Ave, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I'm calling off the seat and do in the midst of that. Exhibits.
No objection.
Exhibit 136.
And Your Honor, with court's permission, may I publish those photographs in relatively short fashion with the jury?
Sure.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7749. And Trooper, just briefly, what are we looking at in this photograph?
The front entrance to that address, One Meadows.
Ms. Gilman, 7752. And Trooper, same question. What are we looking at here?
That was the vehicle in question.
And if you could, Trooper, just describe sort of perspective-wise what portion of the vehicle we're looking at in this photograph.
So we are looking at an angle view of a Chevy Traverse, the back of the vehicle, and part of the driver's side.
And Ms. Gilman, 7758. And what part of the vehicle does this depict, Trooper?
The rear of the vehicle.
And Ms. Gilman, 7759. And again, Trooper, what portion of the vehicle in this photograph?
There's going to be an angle view of the rear of the vehicle and the passenger side.
And Ms. Gilman, 7769. And again, Trooper, what portion of the vehicle in this photograph?
This is the front of the vehicle.
And Ms. Gilman, 7771. Again, Trooper, what are we looking at in this photograph?
An angle view of the front of the vehicle and the driver's side.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have 7777. And again, Trooper, what are we looking at in this photograph?
This is the driver's side rear quarter panel.
And Ms. Gilman, 7791. Now, you also took photographs of the garage doors at One Meadows Ave, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and how many garage doors did you observe there that day?
2 garage doors.
And which of the two was this?
This is going to be the right garage door.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have 7795. And which of the 2 garage doors is this, Trooper?
This will be the left garage door.
Thank you very much. Ms. Gilman, thank you very much. You can take those down. Now, Trooper Brent, from your observations of those photographs and your observations personally, visually on scene February 3rd at One Meadows Ave, what damage did you observe to the garage doors at that residence?
I did not observe any damage to them.
And again, both from your view of those photographs and your in-person visual observations of the Chevy Traverse from all angles on that date of February 3rd, what damage did you observe to that Chevy Traverse?
I observed no visible damage.
Thank you, sir. No further questions, John.
To be clear, the Chevy Traverse that you photographed at One Meadows, you did so on February
This is the cross-examination.
3rd of 2022, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you realized at the time that was 5 days prior to the incident in question, which was January 29th of 2022?
Wait,
5
wait.
days after, not prior.
Did I say prior?
You did.
Thank you for correcting me because you're right. You were photographing it 5 days after January 29th, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it's fair to say, sir, that your earliest involvement in the case was February 3rd of 2022, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you don't know, and you didn't know at the time, who had access to that Traverse during those 5 days, correct?
That is correct.
Now, as of February 3rd of 2022, you, I believe, testified you were part of the crime scene services section of the Massachusetts State Police, correct?
Yes, sir.
You met former Trooper Michael Proctor on February 3rd at 34 Fairview Road in Canton.
Yes, I did.
At the time, did you know you were at the home?
Is it just me, or did he appear to be kind of lamenting the fact that he said former trooper? Like, oh no, my buddy. Again, I might be hallucinating because obviously my lens is colored by everything that has happened and everything that I know. I'm extremely objective, but it is very, very, very difficult to be like completely objective because obviously I know too much about this case. I know the entire first trial. I know everything that happened in the second trial. I know all the motions. I know what the jurors have said so far in the first trial, how they ruled, how they voted, how they, how many people are going to acquit, convict. So like I know too much information, so it's extremely difficult to like have a completely blank slate. I don't know. This guy, Trooper Evans, he kind of appeared to be almost a little sad, like a little lamenting the loss of Proctor. Is it just me? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe as you scroll down. And if you need a lawyer, call us, 1-844-774-HURT, 1-844-774-HURT. Trial lawyers are standing by to get you the most money for your injuries as a result of someone else's negligence. We can get you the most money under the law. Why? Because insurance companies fear us. They know that if they give us a lowball offer, we will take the case to litigation and we will take it to trial and we will crush them. And they know it. So we cover all 50 states. Give us a call. And if it happened recently, within the last week, the last month, the last 6 months, give us a call. We can help.
Of a Boston police officer named Brian Albert.
I did not.
And February 3rd was the first and only time that you responded to 34 Fairview Road, correct?
That is correct.
With regard to anything that you saw on the lawn or on the snow that day, you have no personal knowledge as to how any of those items got there, correct?
I do not.
And 5 days after January 29th, you had no personal knowledge at the time of who had access to that front lawn during those 5 days, correct?
That is correct.
You had no information that knowledge at the time of who had access to that front lawn during those 5 days, correct?
That is correct.
You had no information that a guard had ever been posted near that lawn?
Not that I'm aware of.
And when you got there, there was no crime scene tape, correct?
No, there was not.
There was no tent?
No.
Other than the police officers standing there on February 3rd, the lawn was open to anyone who wanted to look at it, just like any other lawn on the street, right?
I'm unaware of that. I don't know.
Now, in terms of your actions that day in documenting the scene with photographs, you did not write a report on what you saw and what you photographed, correct?
I took notes of what I saw and what I photographed.
Michael Proctor was the one to write the report in which he reported that you were the photographer on scene, correct?
I don't know what Michael Proctor did for a report, so I can't testify to that.
Okay, but you didn't write a report.
I wrote a report of what I did, showing up at the scene and taking photos, and then submitting those photos to the Norfolk County Detectives Unit.
You knew at the time that Michael Proctor was the lead investigator on the case, correct?
Yes, I did.
And with regard...
The way that Yannetti asked that question, I have a feeling that they never received his report. Because why would you never ask a question you don't already know the answer to? And I think Yannetti was convinced we don't have his report, therefore he never wrote it. But it's so minuscule and so irrelevant, he decided not to hang up on it too much. But still, Commonwealth never provided Yannetti and the defense team with this report. Why not? It's an innocuous photographer's report. Who cares? There's nothing to hide there, or is there? I don't know. You tell me, chat/audience in the comments below. What do you think? Yannetti asked a very specific question. You never wrote a report. And he replied with, yes, I did. Oh, you did? Yes, I did. I wrote a report documenting everything I have seen. And Yannetti going in his head, the next natural question would be, are you aware that this report was never provided to the defense? But he decided to skip it because it's not that important.
To other dates in February, on February 8th of 2022, were you asked to go back to 34 Fairview Road to document and photograph anything found on that day?
I do not believe so, no.
What about February 10th?
No.
February 11th?
Again, my only involvement was on February 3rd.
So that means that on February 18th, nearly 3 weeks after January 29th, you were not asked to go back to 34 Fairview to document or photograph anything on the lawn that day, correct?
Correct.
I have nothing further, sir. Thank you.
Wow, messy, very messy. We're going to learn even more over the coming weeks the significance of those dates and why them failing to show up to photograph evidence that was found later on, because we know it was, and why it's important. I remember it from the first trial, and you guys will see it in the second trial. So I'm looking forward to that. And in the meantime, I hope you all are enjoying your weekend, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everybody.